All right, guys, in this podcast, we're going to go over some breaking news in the snowmobile industry. We're going to talk about what's going on with Arctic Cat. We've heard a few very interesting things that are looking like they may be true. Let's jump right into it.
Look, I don't want to talk. How you try and press the kid and read it, you was soft. All you know is
All right, guys, welcome back to yet another episode of the Let's Assess podcast. Today, we got AJ and Brad in the studio here. Before we get into what we're going to talk about today, I just want to ask if you're enjoying our content, please subscribe. This podcast will be on Spotify as well. If you want to support us, we'd really appreciate it. We're going to put links in the bio. Blackbird merch, there's some stuff left there. And then Powderbound Adventures if you want to come out and ride with AJ and Marcus. We'd really appreciate the support. And now let's get right into it. We've had a lot of talking on the internet about Arctic Cat. We've done a couple podcasts on it, but we've heard some crazy news and there's some evidence that's lining this whole rumor up. And I'll just start with that and then we'll get into it. It sounds like CF Moto bought Arctic Cat is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah. And I mean, it didn't really come to idea in our minds until the other night. Me and Brent were talking on the phone for like at least an hour and 40 minutes, I think it was. Yeah. And like, we were just talking normal, whatever. And it just came to the idea of like, hey, these stars are kind of aligning that like CF Moto is the one that is buying Arctic Cat.
Well, yeah, you're like, well, I told you, I saw one of the comments and it said that, you know, there's big rumors that it's sold. They're just not releasing it. And then AJ's like, yeah, it's kind of weird. CF Moto just sponsored Snowcross. And then we're both sitting there. And then I'm like, well, that would mean that they bought it. And you're like, well, yeah, you're like, well, why? I'm like, because they don't have a snowmobile right now. They're not in the snowmobile industry.
Yeah,
so,
I don't know why. Yeah, but like, it didn't even click in my head of like, yeah, they don't even have snowmobile. But then all of a sudden they're sponsoring the Snowcross series. So as a title sponsor for the entire year, not just like a single race event, like just because they're going to be racing in Shakopee this weekend, which would be close to CF Moto's headquarters, because they're like Minneapolis, St. Paul area based somewhere in there, which then that kind of ties them into being close to the Arctic Cat engine factory, which thank you to whoever commented that. I did read that one, that the Arctic Cat factory in St. Paul makes the engines for Arctic Cat, or that's where the factory's at for the engines. So,
yeah. So, okay. I just want to touch on this. I don't know that much about CF Moto. I've never had one of their vehicles. This is my thoughts. It's basically somewhat like a Polaris type company. They make like side-by-sides and stuff like that.
yeah.
But it seems to me that they spend a lot less money on R&D maybe, and their stuff's a lot cheaper. Is that what you kind of gather from it?
Yeah, it seems like they're like maybe like take technology from 5 to 10 years ago, right? And they're mass producing that at a cheaper level and putting it out to the people that can afford a brand new machine that might not be cutting edge, but it's a great machine, you know, and it doesn't have all the tech and all that stuff. Like,
I didn't realize they were a big thing until we went to Heydays, and their booth was massive.
Huge.
And it was right up by the freestyle stuff. And I'm like, I've seen this brand, but I've never owned a CF Moto anything.
No.
And I don't know of anyone around here that has anything CF Moto except you had a generator, didn't you?
Yep. I got a generator that's a CF Moto.
Yeah.
And then I've heard of some other people having the CF Moto side-by-sides. And what we were talking about the other night on the phone, which is so wild, is everybody I've ever talked to that has the CF Moto, they'll have it, they'll get into the sport, and then they'll be like, oh, I'm going to get like a Polaris or a Can-Am or whatever. And they're like, I'm having these issues, or it's super expensive and it's not that much nicer. They're always like, I would go back to a CF Moto now. Like they would happily go back to that CF Moto, and they almost like want a CF Moto back. It seems like just the very few people I've talked to about it.
Yeah. It kind of ties in with what we were saying on the first Snowmobile podcast, and the fact of, you know, we titled it "Is the Snowmobile Industry in Trouble?" And we basically talked about, one of the things we talked about was, are these things getting too expensive?
Yeah.
Where the snowmobile industry is dying and the aftermarket is dying and all that stuff. Maybe this is the move to have something cheaper that we kind of talked about. Maybe it's not the most cutting edge, or maybe they'll make it the most cutting edge. I don't know. But maybe this is their opportunity to kind of put their CF Moto brand that seems to, I've not heard bad stuff about CF Moto, but I've definitely heard that, again, I don't know, I don't own any CF Moto, but I've heard that they are considerably more budget friendly.
Yep. Very more affordable. I agree. I think it fits exactly like what you said in that first podcast of Arctic Cat has kind of put them in that sector of being more of a budget behind the times sled. Sorry to all you Arctic Cat people there, but
it was still ridiculously expensive for what it was.
It's expensive. So maybe now this would be that,
shift.
Maybe they would shift it to that. I don't know. Maybe they try to mass produce it a little more and get the volume out there at a cheaper level.
We talked about it. I mean, you have business sense. Brad, what do you think? Do you think, this is a complex question, but do you think that it would be good for the manufacturer, that is, and the market to come to market with something that it's not as good as a Polaris, it's not as good as Ski-Doo? Maybe they're not trying to compete on that level, but they're like, dude, we're $8,000, $10,000 cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, look at the new truck market. I mean, to get anything new, diesel wise, let's just say, you're basically mid 50s, 60s and up, and they get up into the low 100s. And all it takes is one company that focuses on building a good foundation of a truck or a sled or whatever it might be. And then they can bring it to the market at a much more affordable price. And so, yeah, someone who, but it's not their entire life like ours.
Yeah. Like just a weekend warrior.
Yeah, just a good sled that they can beat on and not have to worry about.
That doesn't have 8,000 miles on it.
And is not going to be 20-something grand.
Right, but here's the thing that you have to think about in that we talked about in that podcast. Is it going to be, quote, cool enough for a lot of people to want to buy? That's the question that I don't know, because we're very familiar with the truck market.
Right.
You're like, we're never going to sell this $95,000 truck. There's not that many people. People just want a decent truck. But then they get on the lot. They're like, hey, man, I like the grill of that truck. I like the heated seats. I like this. I like that. It's like, all right, well, then you're going to have to buy that truck. Well, I didn't want to spend that much money, but I want all those features, so let's do it. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
right.
For people that are looking for a work machine that is just pure function, not, let's face it, flash or hype.
Yeah,
they want that, and you wonder if they're not going to be able to, let's be honest, they're not going to be able to bring a sled or anything, whether it's a side-by-side, a truck, a computer, a snowboard, anything. You are not going to be able to bring it to market if it truly is cutting edge for cheaper than everybody else.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen because of the research and development that you have to go through.
Yeah, and it seems like you pay for a lot of the, these manufacturers are pushing the limits of these sleds every year, but you're also paying for a lot of the marketing as well.
Oh, 100%.
So if you have someone who's just more behind the scenes, and I mean, think of how many people that run that have a sled that's 4, 5, 6 years old, that if they could get into a brand new one that was still good for $12,000 instead of $23,000.
That's a question I have, but then it's like, do they get to the hill and their buddies are making fun of them, and because that's marketed as a budget-friendly sled?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on how they played their cards, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that there should be a cheaper sled.
Yeah.
But the question is like, how many people are actually going to buy it? I don't know.
I think that's the shocking thing, though, with the side-by-sides, everything CF Moto already has is they're a massive company now. Like, think about it. 4 years ago, did you know what CF Moto even was?
No, not until you talked about their generator.
I know, yeah, and it's like that's not even their main thing, obviously.
But I feel like most people we know, and I could be wrong, it's like they'll go finance a $45,000 Razor before they're gonna be seen or whatever on a Honda Talon or a CF Moto or whatever.
Yeah,
that's just kind of where we are, geographically in the world. Like that's how people are around here.
Well, and I don't know a whole lot about but it sounds like it's kind of like a Snap-on versus Harbor Freight
Yeah.
kind of deal
Yeah,
where it's like
yeah,
you
basically,
have a
yeah.
huge name behind it. You know, people know, oh, is that a Snap? You know,
Yeah.
whatever. It's cool to run Snap-on. That's why these guys have boxes with hundreds, thousands of dollars worth of their tools. But I mean, for the vast majority, I mean, Harbor Freight would be just fine for most people in most applications. And
it's just fine for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm great at mechanicking, and Harbor Freight is really good.
Well, and here's the thing to think about. The mountain segment is not the largest segment in the snowmobile industry.
See, that's what I just can't wrap my head around.
So,
Because we're always out here, obviously, so you don't see that.
okay, they don't have a turbo sled. There's not that many turbo sleds out on the trail in Minnesota, Michigan, where all these snowmobiles are being sold. If they come to market in the Midwest with the cheapest badass 858 for the Midwest trail riders with a good suspension, and these guys can update from their 1990s, late 1990s, 2000s, whatever, even mid 2000s models to a brand new sled for 10, 12 grand, whatever that price point's going to be. But we know with CF Moto, it's going to be cheaper. Why wouldn't all those Midwest guys be jumping on that? I feel like they'll probably become the king in that industry, because it's just like, you see they have the little mopeds. Like, you can go buy a Honda Grom for this price, or you can buy the CF Moto version for the same thing, and you just go hammer on it in the street,
Yeah.
Like, I think the same thing on the trail sleds. Like, yeah, you can go hammer on this trail sled for 10 grand, or you can go buy a Ski-Doo or Polaris for $16,000 to $18,000.
Dude, and see, I agree. Like, it makes fully emotionless sense, in my opinion. It does. Like,
but
it's the same thing where it's like, let me ask you this. Why don't you, like, for those of you who don't know, AJ drives a very nice truck. It is a fully loaded Denali.
AT4.
Or, sorry, AT4. Same.
I ain't
Potato,
no Denali.
potato.
Jeez.
Yeah, Denali. So, they're for,
Yeah.
yeah.
My
Anyway.
dad drives a Denali, all right?
Yeah.
It's got chrome.
But you have a very nice truck.
Yeah.
Right? It would make more sense financially to go put leather seat covers on a work truck and do a vinyl wrap, whatever color, replace the wheels. It would be cheaper to do that on a work truck
Oh, yeah.
than it would, to have the AT4 badge on your truck.
Yep.
So I'm just playing devil's advocate here. That's where I just don't know if that many, a lot of people would bite, but I don't know. If you're selling sleds on thinner margins and stuff, you got to sell a lot more.
I drive my truck every day. I ride my snowmobile almost every day in the wintertime. But I feel like, in thinking of Midwest, yeah, they drive their truck every day, but they don't ride their snowmobile but a handful of times.
Yeah.
I don't know if that brand, I think if you saw what the Midwest snowmobile scene is, you might be a little shocked. They're not on brand new snowmobiles like we are every year. I mean, they sell a good amount of brand new snowmobiles to the Midwest guys, no doubt. But there is, when I say that there's so many more people riding in the Midwest, it's insane. Like, the amount of people with snowmobiles there, and not everybody's on brand new sleds out there.
Yeah.
So I think if you came to market with that,
And not everyone's on brand new sleds out here, but I know what you're saying.
But I think the population, just we're talking, how many mountain riders do you think there are that live out here that buy a new sled or not even buy a new sled, but how many mountain riders do you think there are out in the Midwest, just in your mindset, just so we have numbers to work with?
How many riders do I think's in the Midwest?
No, here in the West.
Oh, sorry.
Mountains.
Around us, or let's take our town for example.
No, I want to say the entire mountain segment.
Oh gosh. I wouldn't even know how to guess.
no.
Okay, think about that. That's 10%. Think of how many, it's going to be a lot, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot. It's 10% of the snowmobile sales. There's another 90% that are buying trail sleds over the mountain segment.
But I will say, and I'm just playing devil's advocate, I'm not disagreeing.
Yep.
But you have a lot of the Midwest guys, it seems to me on Instagram, that are buying mountain sleds.
That's also part of the mountain segment, though, because it's
Well,
whether
yeah, I
it's
guess
sold
you're
in the
right.
Midwest or here, it's the mountain segment that's being sold, and it's still only 10% of that market, 10 to 20%. That's put that in volume of how many more trail sleds are being sold. Kind of
Then, I mean, a lot of people ride once, maybe twice a week. And
A lot of people not even that.
yeah, and a lot of people can't justify 22 grand, 23 grand for a new sled.
Yeah.
Or I guess the NA version would be what, 18-ish, 19?
16 to 18.
Yeah. So they can't justify it, but they would rather buy something brand new rather than something that's been used, and you never know what you're getting, you know?
Yeah.
So
I mean, I like your devil's advocate there, and I do think, like, I do see where it could be difficult for him because, yeah, everybody does kind of want the nicer thing, right? Like, why
Or
wouldn't you want
just
the
not
nicer
even
thing?
the nicer thing,
The
just the
newer.
more hype.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Like,
for sure.
The sled that, like for mountain riders, I'm speaking for mountain riders, the sled that Brant's on, the sled that Caleb Kosturki's on, you know? Like,
Everyone wants a chaos. Everyone wants a boost. Like,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
oh, the 9R hype. You
Yeah.
know? Oh, everybody needed a turbo 146, you know?
Exactly what I'm saying. Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. That's what I'm like, is that going to work? I really don't know.
Yeah. My personal opinion, it will. I think it will. I think they will sell the shit out of them.
Just depending on how low they can get their price.
I got a question for both of you guys. We don't know what the price point of it would be. We're just guessing that it would be cheap, right? With it being CF Moto. If you could go buy a $10,000 or $12,000 sled that you might be able to just not care about because it's cheaper than your $30,000 Voke built turbo,
Yeah.
that you can just go pound the piss out of in the springtime, or the, you know, right now when we're nailing rocks and stumps and everything, would you not want a kind of $10,000 throwaway? I mean, a $10,000 throwaway.
I do, but it's a $400 throwaway. The old LLC.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get that. Yeah. But it's like, okay, you can have a $10,000 sled potentially to go bang off rocks and pound on the hard snow. So
Okay,
you're not
then
beating
my
up
question
your,
would be like, what does that sled? And when I say look, I don't mean like how attractive it looks
yeah.
or like how badass it looks, but like, what would that sled look like? Would it be like a 400cc or
What is it?
like if it's an 858 Catalyst, I'd buy one right now for 10 grand, 100%. If I get a 858 Catalyst, I would buy one for 10 grand.
Yep.
New.
well, okay, what if you could buy that sled for 10 grand, but then there was enough of an aftermarket where you could buy it brand new for 10, and then if you're a guy that just wants boost, you could put a $3,000 turbo kit. You could just do suspension. You could do whatever you wanted.
Like a blank
But,
canvas.
Yeah,
Type thing.
if the aftermarket's there.
Which aftermarket world to be there, I think, you know? I think
Yeah.
they, like, that would be
But would
such
that
an
be a
opportunity.
budget conscious buyer that doesn't spend as much money on aftermarket?
Maybe.
Well, I mean,
Who knows?
I mean, think about it. That was a big thing with what I was gonna ride this year was just total price of you get the sled, and then after everything you do to it, you're pushing, you know, mid to high 20s,
Yeah.
or you can buy something that is most of the way there. It might need a little bit, but so I don't know. I mean, if you can buy them cheap enough, they'll definitely sell, and they might become popular because it might be kind of a blank canvas thing where
I feel
people
like,
can quote unquote express themselves.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
No, dude, I feel like
And-
what it'll take, honestly, I feel like if they have one big time rider
Yeah. Create the hype.
and they have like a dude that is a market staple skill wise
Yep.
riding one of their sleds, I think, of course, Arctic Cat right now has some big names riding their stuff, and
All I'm going to say is CF Moto is in your email right now. They want Brent.
they do not want me. Well, I found your weak point in your
yeah.
I'm telling you, I said this on another podcast, dude. If anyone wants me to bomb proof or bomb test their parts, I am your guy.
Yeah.
I can find a way to break just about anything.
He will draw the lucky straw of a sled that runs, but he will hit every rock and every stump on that mountain.
Yeah.
Like, we will hit an entire hillside, and he'll be like, filming it. He'll be like, you guys hit anything up there? No, we didn't. Like, we hit so many lines up there, we didn't feel anything. First pop. whack right on a rock. Oh,
Seriously.
done.
Yeah.
Yep, done.
Yep. I'm all right.
I'm good.
But yeah, dude, I mean, that's the thing. Even like talking about the blank canvassing, even with Polaris, dude, there's so much stuff that when you snow check, if you could pick to not have to pay for it, oh, I'd be all in. I would take a blank canvas.
Right.
Do you really need the
certain
7S? No.
Yeah,
Like,
but I mean, I would probably buy the 7S.
Yeah.
But it's like if you, and this is ridiculous, but if you didn't have to buy the hood, if you didn't have to buy it with shocks, if you didn't have to buy it with rails and wheels, like, and I know that's ridiculous, but I'm just saying, like,
Exactly.
all
Give
that
me a
stuff,
bulkhead and a motor,
yeah,
please.
yeah, like if you could just buy like a halfway built snowmobile, I would rather do that because I'm going to switch everything out once I get it.
Yep.
Right.
You know,
And then there's no market for that
Yeah.
stuff, like as in the used market.
but that's what's funny. Everyone's like, dude, you got to get the Walker Evans. They're better than the monotubes. It's like, and then the same guy puts Raptor or Fox suspension on his sled.
Every time.
It's like, then who cares?
Yeah.
But, well,
Well, I think that's kind of our thoughts. I don't know, man.
that was a good rant.
Yeah. I think CF Moto, we've heard a lot that they, paper's been inked somewhere. Thought that around the first of the year that the news was going to be broke. We haven't heard the official news, but it is kind of funny that they did release right after the new year that they're going into the snowmobile industry with the snowcross tour. So I think that kind of points the flag in that direction that they're.
And we
It's
could be
only fitting.
completely wrong.
Oh yeah, 100%.
We could be. Like, it could be John Deere and we're completely wrong. But now I would bet a little bit of money that it's CF Moto because there seems to be some evidence.
Yeah.
Like back when we were speculating, a month ago,
have
it's like
no
it's
idea.
pure speculation. It's
Yep.
pure like, but now with them doing that, and
There's
not
some
only
flags pointing that way.
yeah, and it's like not only are they like putting their name on one of the hay bales on the side of the race, it's like they're one of the big sponsors.
Yeah, like they stepped up in a big way.
Yeah. So that's I wish we could hear something from
Just
that.
something.
Yeah. I think it's CF Moto at this point. That's all. I mean, that's the only good guess I'd have.
Drop it in the comments. Do you guys think we're crazy or you
Yeah.
on
Who do you
board
guys
with
think
it?
it is?
What
Is
do
it
you
CF
think?
Moto? Yeah.
Have you guys heard anything? Like, I mean, we'll do our best to answer all these comments. I'll
Yeah.
try hard.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. We have full-time jobs and we try our best. Q&A.
let's do
You wanna do
Q&A.
Q&A?
Yeah, let's do
All
it.
right. All right. This week for Q&A, we're just taking a couple questions. And again, guys, we put this on our story on Cook Bros and Powderbound Adventure story a couple days before the podcast. Don't be shy. Ask questions. We like answering them. We're all going to answer them. Let's try our best not to go into a 9-hour conversation on each of them. Okay, first question. Do you ride with heated gloves and why?
That's a good question. Usually the heated gloves, it seems like they trend to be thicker, and I don't much care for thicker gloves, but I'm a mega wimp, as I've said on here before. So yes, I do. When
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to beat them on the way down.
Yeah.
Especially after you go through, I usually go through 2 or 3 pair of gloves a day because they get wet from, undigging and this and that. And so, yeah, it's so nice to have them on the way out.
Yeah.
But like, I wouldn't want to actually ride with them.
No. I've had problems
could,
like
but-
when you're riding with them because the heating element is on the backside of the fingers.
Yeah.
Like the snow sticks to it really bad and then they end up like really wet. So I didn't
Yeah.
much care for like in powder riding. But yeah, I'm definitely like heated gloves on the way up the mountain and the way down. The way down for sure.
Yeah.
But like the way up, it's pretty nice to have them on too.
Yeah. I'm gonna wear them more this year. I've had heated gloves for a couple years, but I'll tell you where I like them the most, and you guys already know this. When you get done filming, I do not like wearing gloves when I'm filming. I don't care
feel
how
the
thin.
buttons. You
Yeah.
can't anything.
So your hands are at least mine, are extremely cold. You're holding like that. The bodies of these cameras are some sort of metal.
Yeah.
I don't know what they are, but they're not like
Not warm metal.
yeah,
I know
they're
that.
not warm at all. And so putting heated gloves on, the last time we were riding, we filmed and I turned my it was the day we were all out.
Gotcha.
I turned my heated gloves on before I started filming.
So they're
So
nice
then
and
they're
toasty.
warm and I put them on, turn the bar heaters on, and you're warming up pretty quick.
Oof.
But yeah, the riding in them, I haven't found. It's not because they're heated for me. It's the gloves that are heated. Just the dexterity isn't there.
Yeah, they're bulky.
So
Yeah, they're real bulky and stiff.
yeah. Okay, what suspension settings do you guys run?
I feel bad for you Walker Evans boys, but I have these nice KYBs that have 3 adjustments on them now on the Expert. So I've been running my fronts in the middle adjustment. I've dabbled in the soft. It feels a little too soft for me. So I'm running the fronts in the soft setting.
And this is Ski-Doo.
Ski-Doo, yep. And the rear, I believe I'm running in the middle on the rear shock and 1 on the front track shock right now.
Did you mess with the shocks?
I haven't.
Or the springs, I meant?
No spring messment. Just left the springs.
Can you
stuck.
adjust this?
Yeah, you can stiffen the springs up, give you some more, rebound back. But no, I've been pretty happy with those settings so far. Might change it throughout the winter. We'll see. Might end up stiffening up that rear shock to like full stiff. That way it doesn't trench too bad because it likes to trench.
Yeah,
but we'll see. We'll see about that.
Dude, you're outnumbered 2-1 here.
I know, but
Just kidding.
I mean, Brad rode that sled, so
Dude, they are a lot of fun.
They're a lot of fun. Yeah.
good time.
Yeah.
It's a good
What
time.
are you running?
I'm gonna be running whatever this guy right here recommends and can do for me.
Yeah.
So
Well, for the Walker
whatever he
Evans,
comes up with, I agree with.
Yeah.
I like running the Walker Evans, like pretty much the fronts almost as stiff as those ones will go, just because I feel like they're super soft to begin with.
Yeah.
So I'll run the high speed adjustment all the way stiff, and then run the slow speed adjustment soft, like 2 clicks softer, just that way. Then all the way stiff, just that way. There's a little bit of give on those trail bumps and stuff in the front end, and then in the rear track shocks, this Polaris isn't super playful in my opinion. So I want that front end to party a little more. So I will like run the front track shock like mid to stiff, I would say. I don't know what the clicks are. I can't remember. But like mid to stiffer on high speed and low speed. And then the rear track shock a little bit on the softer side. That way it just wants to party more. But it doesn't ride good on the trail with those settings at all, but it does work really good in the deep snow. It feels like that's where we're.
Well, that's
the
what I'll be
goal.
running.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's where Brad will be.
I'll go over Fox.
Okay.
So my Fox settings, I just changed it last night. So my front main chamber, I put at around 80 to 90 pounds.
Yep.
And then the evol chamber, I put at 150. Might be too stiff. We'll see.
I run 20 pounds softer than what Brent just said on everything, like everything but the evil chamber. The evil chamber, I'm 10 pounds softer with Fox on Polaris, but Brent a little heavier, a little more camera gear weight on the tunnel. We are running him about 20 pounds stiffer than me on the main chambers, and then 10 pounds stiffer in evil.
I pumped him up more than that.
Did you?
Yeah, a little bit on the evol chambers. Yeah.
Oh,
Rear track shock or rear front track shock. I should say front.
Yep.
Front track shock. Jeez. AJ is running 30. I have about 50 or 60.
Yep.
We'll see how that goes. There was 150 or what I tell you,
You told me
120.
there was 120 or something.
120.
Yeah, which is weird. I don't know how over the summer it did that. That was kind of strange. So,
Yeah.
but that could be why it was like wanting to get gnarly on you so much.
Yeah.
Being a 165.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have been doing that.
And then my rear track shock, 140 in the main and 190 in the evil.
Yep.
So that's way stiffer than kind of what I've tried, but I need something stiffer, dude. The camera's pretty heavy. I'm pretty heavy. And then on top of that, I like to think that I'm a pretty aggressive rider. So I need something stiff.
Yep.
And what I'd like to have it is where I run my clickers on one most of the time.
And that's what we have your setup to where Like you tried softer air last year, didn't like it at all. Like you hated those Fox shocks. We pumped them up stiffer and you fell in love with them.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have more air in it to where you're on one and you can always go stiffer. Cause I've never experienced wanting to really go softer with my shocks ever.
Yeah.
Like you're either getting more aggressive or you're wanting to hit jumps or something like that, and you want that hold up.
Yeah, and that's the thing why I went with aftermarket. I could not get the Walker Evans stiff enough. And it's weird because when Walker Evans first came out, everyone, like, there were some pretty knowledgeable guys that are like, you don't really need to go to Fox. These are really good. Yeah, for 1 year. And then they did something, dude.
Yeah.
Those last Walker Evans shocks that I ran, and they're good shocks. They feel good, in my opinion. I just could not get them stiffer or stiff enough.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's try to do this in like a couple sentences each. Turbo versus NA.
For my elevation where we ride, we are 8,000 plus every single day. We never, ever, we as a group have never rode below 8,000 foot really.
Unless it's trail to get there.
Yeah. The trail to get there. But like actually riding off trail where we're riding 8,000 plus, no matter what, there's no comparison to having a turbo.
What do you say for the beginner?
If you're a beginner, you should be on an NA. Like,
I agree.
Hands down, I started on a supercharged sled. I went back to an NA. I built my skills up. Super glad I did that.
Yeah.
You have to build that base on an NA before you can handle the power of a turbo. If you jump straight on a turbo, your skills will never catch up. You might be able to go to places on turbo that your buddies can't, but their skills will get better than yours. They will pass you, I guarantee it.
Do you agree, or you have anything to add to it?
Yeah, I just buy a boost.
Yeah, boost.
Regardless. No, if you're just starting out, I wouldn't get a boost because sometimes you can, like, the sled will get away from you.
Yeah.
Many times. And yeah, I'd get a foundation set and then go to the dark side. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm 100% in agreement of that. Okay.
There's some great running NA sleds out there. Like, they are no slouches. Like, you can go anywhere and everywhere, in my opinion, on an NA sled that turbos can. It's just a matter of it's a little more fun on a turbo. You can do it a little faster on a turbo, and on deep, deep, deep days, there's no comparison for the turbo.
Yeah.
At our elevation, stands true still, but our elevation, the NAs definitely feel a little weaker. It feels, for sure. They're definitely not powerhouse.
Well, and I mean, there's people that they prefer to be on an NA, and
A lot of great riders prefer NAs.
They prefer it. I like the fun factor of the boost.
Yeah.
So,
well, it does suck riding a turbo sled all day. Like, it wrestles you around. Like, you get done and you rode a turbo sled all day. Like, you hurt, you're sore, you're beat up.
Yeah.
Like,
if you're actually riding the day, pushing, you know. Okay. Go-to food on the mountain.
Man, that Powder Bound Adventures panini just hits different on the mountain.
It does.
We've kind of perfected 4 different models of that sumbitch.
model.
Yeah.
No, that's my go-to. Like, I want a hot something on the sandwich or hot something on the mountain, and we've kind of got these paninis where they're crusted on the outside, so they're crispy and they're not soggy, and they're just
they are dialed. They're good.
Yeah, those are.
So that's my go-to. But
what's your go-to, Brad?
I bring Diet Cokes, and sometimes they explode, sometimes they don't. But that and protein bar, maybe a cigarette.
A cigarette.
No, you never know. No, my go-to it's that bar that I was telling you about.
Oh yeah.
It's made by.
I can't remember. I was looking for it the other day and I couldn't find it actually.
Yeah, I don't know who it's made by, but it's like a caramel, chocolate caramel. It doesn't taste anything like a protein bar. It's like a
straight candy bar.
It's like a Snickers bar.
Yeah,
it's good, but
that's
mine.
Okay, mine
at the moment at least.
If AJ doesn't offer a panini, I have literally not one morsel of food and not one morsel of water. I'm just being honest here.
It's true.
Yeah, so
He even has storage now because of the Zero hood, and it was empty the other day. I was like, "What are you doing?"
yeah. So I got a muff pot.
Wow.
So hopefully you can even eat.
So now we're gonna be getting ready. He's gonna come walking in the shop and be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, so are we ready to go?
Yeah,
Like,
can
do
we
need to-"
stop by the shop? I
get
think you
anything?
need to get something.
Yeah.
No, we got everything.
Right?
Well, no, I think you forgot something
You
there.
forgot it.
Yeah.
One of these days, AJ's gonna say yes to me asking, "Are you gonna eat that?" And so I always
Yeah. You gonna eat that?
can
You gonna
never
eat
hurt,
that?
right?
Yeah, I mean, it's worth a try. Shit, if you just come in the shop, you could get a panini too.
Dude, they're good. Buffalo chicken slaps. All right. Last one for this podcast. A weird must-have while riding.
Oh man, I don't know if I want to answer this one first.
You got any ideas of like
Must-have.
weird?
I mean,
It's kind of weird. I packed 2 Leathermans. Like, oddly
Really?
enough, yeah,
Dude,
I
I
mean,
love that you always have a Leatherman on you. I love it.
and a flashlight. I feel like not very many people pack like a
Yeah.
specific flashlight.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got it right here, right now with me,
Bingo.
and the Leatherman.
really,
But no, I pack another Leatherman in my sled.
Yeah.
Like it used to be in my handlebar bag, so it was readily accessible. And then I don't run a handlebar bag anymore. It kind of snagged up on me a few times, so I don't do that. But
Dude, I do miss having a handlebar bag. The weirdest thing that I bring snowmobiling. I mean, Zen's has got to be. It's not that weird.
it's not weird though.
But
you don't really bring. Well, what's something weird camera wise that you like take but you never use?
drone.
There you go.
Because I take it
The
every
video
time,
game,
and I'm
yeah.
like, my fingers are gonna. I need to start using the drone more. What's another like? I don't know. I just don't have anything really.
Mine-
Oh, I know one weird thing that I carry with me. A mouthpiece.
Really?
Yeah, I put it in my backpack years ago,
huh?
and I've never taken it out because I'm like, if I'm gonna really try to boot this, because I got my, I mean, when I was younger, I got my teeth knocked out, so that's always like in the forefront of my mind.
Gotcha.
Not knocked completely out, but knocked up pretty good. And so I have a mouthpiece.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
That is.
I don't know
weird
why
one.
I've never put it in. I just have it in my backpack. I need to take that out. Oh, and
It probably doesn't even fit your mouth now.
no, probably not. I'll tell you something that I just remembered that's in the same pocket. Pyro putty, dude. That fire starter.
Yeah.
That stuff works.
It does. I
Yeah.
pack a 10 of that too. The winter blend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works good.
Yep.
I used to carry fireworks for some reason, but
Yeah, it keeps
no,
you
I would
stranded.
say like a trail map. I've never used it once.
You
Like,
have a trail
that's
map?
yeah, it's a very
That's
like
funny.
it could be very important one day, but
Could.
no, sunglasses maybe. It's not really weird though. I mean,
Yeah. Trail map's kind of weird. I'm not gonna like. I see your point of it could be useful, but who packs a trail map these days?
I wouldn't even know
put
where,
it in there like
if I got lost, I wouldn't even know where I am on the map.
Yeah.
So it would do me no good.
yeah.
There's no pine trees. And I'm in pine trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
I
looking
can't
at
find that big
Utah's
pine tree.
map.
Yeah.
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 Who put this in here? It's not even in Craig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
That's
yeah.
funny.
That is
That's a
kind
good
of
one,
funny.
actually. I
Yeah.
like that.
The mouthpiece is weird. That's probably the weirdest thing out
Yeah.
of all of us.
You strange son of a bitch. You.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
gonna try to be funny and say lipstick. Put some on it before you go right.
Yeah.
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 Getting ready.
No, nothing weird.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything, but
I don't like packing weight, so I feel like
yeah.
I really get rid of about everything I possibly can.
Yeah.
Except for a second Leatherman, apparently.
Yeah.
But-
Well, I think that wraps it up. You guys good?
I think it was good.
Okay. Well, let us know in the comments what you think of who's going to buy Arcticat, what's going to happen with Arcticat. And we really appreciate you guys listening. We really appreciate all the support. We're pumping out YouTube videos on Thursday, so go on the channel and give those a look. Leave a comment. Tell us what you think. And until next time, let her eat.
Subscribe.